Welcome to Sensational Living with Liliana. I hope you've had a great week and you guys have all recovered from Thanksgiving. I know it took me a few days, but I'm back on target. So really the goal this holiday season, and it's interesting when I talk to some of my patients because they're like, well, we know in January we're going to go on detox and, we'll get on a clean diet again. So we're just having a good time. We're just eating lots of things we want, carbohydrates, and just, kind of indulging. And I kind of chuckle to myself because in reality, they think they're giving themselves a treat, but what ends up happening is later on, they not only experience the treat in a not so comfortable way, that they may also gain a few pounds, which they don't want to do, but they know they're going to. But then when it comes January, they're like, why did I do that? Was it really worth it? So really what I would like to say is sure, have a good time. Choose what you want well in regards to those things that are homemade, that are organic, that are gluten-free, that are really treats, but things that people bring into the office like Costco cookies and chips and dips and all the things you're going to find yourself that's going to be all around you. You might just say, you know what, those really aren't worth it. And so really I always tell my patients this whole holiday season, the goal is not necessarily to lose weight, but to at least maintain the weight that you're at so that when you start the new year, it's not all about getting rid of the weight you put on over the holidays. It's about really detoxing the whole 2016 year of not just the toxins in the food, but the emotions and life and its stress. So we want to really take a different point of view about it. Today I'm going to be making a wonderful spaghetti pizza with spaghetti squash. And I love this because it's so versatile and it's also really inexpensive. I bought one today that was organic. It was probably 3 times the normal price, but honestly, you don't need to buy this vegetable organic because it's got a really thick skin on it, and so the pesticides aren't going to enter as if it was a thin skin like a zucchini or a summer squash. And so we're going to be using, now you can use any meat, you can use turkey, you can use bison. I love using lamb. Today I've chosen to use grass-fed beef, and it's organic. I get it at Sprouts, and so we're going to get started. I decided that I would show you how to open up these spaghetti squashes because they're very intimidating. Usually I ask my husband to open them because, it takes a little bit of muscle, but we have muscle girls, we do. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It'll probably be pretty crazy. I'm going to have to get the saw out to some degree, but again, I'm showing you just so that you don't need to be intimidated. You don't need your husband at home to pop one of these in the oven and get your dinner going before it gets too late and we end up going to bed on a full tummy. So let me just show you this. So the best way to do this is cut the ends off of this. This makes it a lot easier. Before I was trying to take a cleaver and just, try to cut right down the middle with the ends. And I was having such a difficult time. But this makes it so much easier. So you just cut the ends off. Perfect. Now again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You see how I kind of made that uneven? So cooking is not about perfection. This is the beauty of it. Then you're just going to take it right down the middle. And then again, you got to play with this. You got to wrestle with it a little bit. And again, we don't need to have a perfect line, so don't expect perfection. I just go up here. Let's do it from this way. I kind of say, okay, I kind of gauge it there. And even if you make a mess of it, it doesn't matter. So there you go, we've got it open, so that's awesome. Now the next thing to do is take out all the seeds. You can use your hand, but I just take a spoon. It just makes it a little bit easier. And again, you gotta have a little bit of muscle, so don't be afraid. It's nice because how often do we get to exercise at home in the kitchen? Not that often. So we do this at the gym and then we don't get to go to the gym. Then what ends up happening is that we just have a day where we're not really utilizing our muscles, and 40% of our calories are in our muscles. So if we don't use them, then we get to have more calories stuck someplace where we could utilize them very easy just in taking out the seeds. So see how easy that is? That makes it really, really easy. It's beautiful. I love these things. They're so versatile. I'm going to be making a lot of recipes with this. The other night when we were eating this, I thought, oh my gosh, one of my favorite dishes is Pad Thai noodles. And I thought this is perfect for Pad Thai. So I'm gonna invent a Pad Thai, but of course I'm not going to use your traditional peanut because peanut is considered a bean, and I don't like it because of the fungus, the anaphylaxins on it, so I don't use pita. So I'll be making it with an almond butter. So it should be kind of interesting. So there we go. So what I usually do is I turn this upside down. And I've done this several ways, both upside down and face up. And this cooks so much faster. You put about a cup of water in there. Okay, so that makes it easy. Now, I'm not going to cook it this way the entire time because it gets a little bit too mushy. And since I'm trying to make this a pasta texture, I want it just slightly al dente. So I'm going to, about halfway through, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to make sure that it's not too soft so that we can have a little play with it. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven. I'm going to leave that here. We can show them afterwards. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with this lovely marinara sauce. Now, got to start with good garlic, of course, so I always make sure I get good organic garlic. I put just a little bit of avocado. I'm going to add just a teeny bit more. One of the things I tell my patients is try to use at least the amount of oil in the cooking process, and wait to save it after you've actually cooked the meal so that you don't adulterate the oil. So I use as least amount as possible. That's about 3 garlics. You can put as many garlics as you want. It's winter time, so the more garlic, the better. The allicin really helps for antibacterial. So this is about 1.5 onions, so they were kind of small. And again, I want to get my onions organic because this has a thin skin on it. So we're going to let that cook. Now over here, I'm going to go ahead and start the sauce. Now, if you have any issues with acid reflux, any kind of heartburn, then sometimes tomato isn't going to be your best friend. So you can easily make this dish with a beautiful pesto. In fact, I had it this week and it was absolutely lovely. The first video I did when I did my gluten-free pizza, I made a super fast pesto. So you can refer to that. You can add that to the spaghetti squash and no problems with GI issues. So I'm going to go ahead and put this tomato sauce that I put together. Now, what I like to do is I just go and get the Trader Joe's organic tomatoes. I get the chunky ones. Then I put them in the blender along with 1 can that's the fire roasted with a little chili in it because I just like a little bit of zip to my sauces. So I've got about 3 cans in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in because we're going to add the meat and everything else later. We'll go ahead and get this going with its spices. All right, perfect. Just set that over there. Give this a little whirl. I'm going to go ahead and add some herbs. Now, I love adding fresh herbs. Mostly I like to add my fresh herbs at the end. I'm going to put some oregano in there. I'm going to put approximately about, I'd say, this is going to serve 4 people. So I'm going to put approximately about a teaspoon of oregano. And again, you know, you can't go wrong. You can put as much as you want of things in there. I'm going to put fresh basil, but I'm going to put the basil at the end because it's very aromatic. It's got a lot of properties like vitamin K, which is excellent for any kind of clotting in the body. It's got a lot of minerals in there, so I don't really want to cook it and expose it to so much heat, so I'm going to put the fresh basil at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and put a little dried in there now just to give it the flavor. I'm going to put a little dill in there, so kind of experiment. Sometimes I put it in, sometimes I don't, but I think it'll be kind of fun to do, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. I'm going to put a little Italian seasoning there as well, so it's got a combination of rosemary and oregano and thyme. So approximately I put about half a teaspoon of that in there. Now I like little zip as I said, so once I get going with this and I taste it, and if it's not as zippy as I want, I'm going to add a little bit of chili flakes to it. So that's always a really nice option. So I'm going to keep those to the side though. Alright, so we've got this going. We're going to go ahead and give this a little stir. So everybody's been shopping Cyber Monday, you know, Black Friday, and oh my gosh, it gets so overwhelming. Luckily, I work at a place where we have absolutely fantastic products, so I think a lot of my my friends and my family are going to get wonderful organic products for their face and for beauty. Everybody loves that, even men. So it makes it a little easier for me because I hate going out there and fighting the crowds. I wish I knew how to surf the internet for all of those great deals. My daughter's wonderful at it, but Me, I'm still pretty old-fashioned when it comes to gifts. I want to touch them, I want to feel them. So you can just start to smell the nice aromatic of the onions. And so, of course, in winter, you really want to be utilizing as much onions and garlic as you can. As I said, they're very antiseptic, very antibacterial for you. I've been doing a lot of juicing, and that juice has been with ginger, lemon. Since we've had such wonderful organic cranberries, and really cranberries on their own are really low sugar. And so I'll do cranberries and lemon and grapefruit, a ton of ginger, and if I've got a little coal, I'll throw a few garlics in there and add a little water to it and make a big jar. You know, that'll last me for a couple of days, but it really, really helps. And again, as you can see, people are starting to cough and, you know, spread the love a little bit too much. So again, if you just keep yourself protected, it just makes it really easy with this, you know, some of this little ginger mixture works really nice. So again, I'm always adding lots of garlic and onions to as much as I can, especially during the winter. Okay, so let's get that going there. Now, of course, as I said, you can add any kind of meat that you would like. And today I'm doing the grass-fed beef. My sister Sophie says she's been using bison and she absolutely loves it. Her husband's requesting this wonderful marinara with bison once a week, but I couldn't find it today, so if I can't get it organic, I just don't buy it. So I've been having a lot of fun decorating, so I'm sure all of you have been doing it as well. I started, of course, like most of you, the day after Thanksgiving. And it's always so much fun, so I try to get it out there as quick as possible because I love the decoration. You know, as all of you, you've probably been collecting your decorations for a long period of time, even got some of your decorations passed on from your family members, your mother and father. So it's really, you know, so many memories in that tree, and it's always fun, you know, putting up the little decorations that your daughter did when she was 5 years old in Montessori school, and all the things that you picked up all over the world. I've traveled quite a bit, so I use a fake tree because, one, I don't like cutting trees down, but my ornaments are all handmade from Bali and Indonesia and Singapore and Spain, so they're heavy, so it works out really well. So I can enjoy the tree without getting all crispy and fried up, but it's really wonderful. And it really just brings so much joy to my heart in regards to the whole holiday season, because it affords us all an opportunity to all get together, to celebrate with food, to have merriment, and to really acknowledge each other in regards of how important we all are to each other. I'm going to be doing a wonderful class in January. It's going to be called Total Transformation. And I'm really excited about it because, you know, it's going to be all about how we live our life based upon our belief systems and what we can do to change some of those dynamics so that we don't feed the weeds that have potentially been a filter that we've lived our life through our whole life, so that we can really have a change for 2017. And so it's going to be at the Center for New Medicine. So for those of you who live in Orange County, it'll be on my website soon, but it'll be a 6-week class, and it's really a lot of fun. I want to teach everyone how to do hypnotic suggestion so that we can really work with the subconscious mind, and teaching you how easy it is that you can implement new behaviors based upon repetition. And it really, really works. It's working on me. I love it. And it works with a lot of my patients, and it's not very difficult to do. You don't need to go to a professional hypnotherapist to learn how to do this. I actually got a self-hypnosis book, and it was really awesome. I'm going to go ahead, the onions are translucent enough now, so I'm going to go ahead and add the beef in here. But so every year to me is all about what are the dynamic changes that I can make within myself. I know that, you know, everything is really based upon how I see life. So when life isn't working out that well for me, I take a really good at what is my perception to life, and what are those things that I need to alter in the way of how I see things. And so I love the new year because it gives us all an opportunity to recalibrate. And it's always so funny when people come in to see me with their lists of what they, you know, drug over from the year before, what they drug over from the year before. And I do the same thing, honestly. You know, I've been trying to get my website up for I don't know how many years, but I promise it's going to be up within the next 2 weeks. So that'll be fun because when I do these recipes and stuff, they'll go online there as well. And there'll be all kinds of different recommendations and information that you'll be able to glean off of that as well. So the new year is a great opportunity, and of course we always start with let's get healthy, let's lose weight, but let's try staying healthy and let's try staying in a good weight so that when we get to the new year, we have other things to work on, other things that might create more of a shift for us in regards to happiness and that sense of really extracting as much joy as you can out of life. I always do a 1 month really kind of detox of January. We don't drink any alcohol, but I usually do some sort of a cleansing as well, some sort of a juice cleanse for 3 to 5 days. And I'm all about internal cleansing. I tell my patients, it's all about trying to reduce the rust inside of our body. If we didn't clean house, what would happen? We'd have all kinds of cobwebs and critters and things. What's the difference of our body? And so, even the first thing of drinking water first thing in the morning when you wake up, grab a half of lemon, 16 ounces of water. So many people don't drink water. It just amazes me. And then, of course, when the winter comes, they wonder why their skin is so dry. So, again, just simple things like that. Lemon water in the morning, throw a little teeny bit of cayenne in there just to get your blood going for a little vitamin C, a little ginger. That's very helpful. And so again, I'll be doing some juice cleansing. I don't juice with a lot of fruit, as you well know. I'm all about keeping the sugars as low as possible. So a lot of green drinks and a lot of things that help to cleanse an internal cleansing. So I'm looking forward to it. I never look forward to it for the first 2 days, but then after that I feel so fantastic that I forget that I'm fasting and doing things that are really great for me, and then it starts going powerful because I start feeling the energy and the vitality that really makes it worth it. Okay, so let's let that go. Let's see how our beautiful sauce is coming over here. So that looks great. A lot of people put honey or sugar into their sauce to cut the acidity. I don't like to do that. If anything, I put a little bit of carrot juice if I find that it's a little too acid. Of course, tomato is acidic, and that's why it's so wonderful to be able to can, because it really preserves well. But the beautiful thing about tomatoes is it has a lot of lycopene and a lot of antioxidants and excellent. A lot of times you'll hear that lycopene especially is good for cancer, for the cancer and also colon, prostate and colon especially. For its properties. The lycopene is what makes this a beautiful, rich red color. So don't be afraid of tomatoes unless you have an issue with the acidity, and a lot of people do. Blood type A people have a little more difficult time with tomatoes because of the acidity. They don't do that well on tomatoes. So I tell them fresh tomatoes in a salad should be okay, but a lot of the tomato sauces, tomato juices, tomato soup, I try to get them to avoid it. So again, it really depends on how your body expresses itself with the foods that you do eat. So you're really conscious about I eat, I feel, so that you can pay attention to what is actually going to be a medicine for you, or can actually be something that is not so good for your health. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add some salt to this now. I thought that I would throw in, if we have time, how to make a Caesar salad dressing, because this was always really good, is when you have a pasta dish, is that you have a nice salad. And again, since we're thinking about Italian, a Caesar salad is always fantastic. And it's so easy to do. You can do it vegetarian style, or you can do it how I will be doing tonight, since we're not doing a vegetarian meal, with some anchovies. So let's get some salt in this little puppy here. So I put probably about, I'd say, a half a teaspoon of salt. I can always correct that later. So I've got this cooked enough so it's browned enough, there's no pink in it, and I'm going to put this into my nice sauce over here. I'm going to put this little bit of pepper in here as well. Now for patients who can't have pepper because they have immunity issues, you can leave this out. Doesn't matter. We'll leave that over there for our Caesar salad dressing. have a little taste of the salt here. You see how I've broken it up nicely so that when you're having your sauce, you're not getting these clumps. Add just a tad more salt to that. See, and I kind of play around. I say, oh, you know, I'm going to add a little chipotle seasoning to this just to give it just a teeny bit more flavor, a little bit more savory. So there we go. That's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I am going to add this to our sauce. It's going to be awesome there. Ooh, that's going to be so good. We're just going to let that cook down. Okay. Now I want to show you, I did this earlier because this does take a good 35 minutes to cook. So I turned this upside down for about 15 minutes. And then I took it out so that you guys would have a look, because it's really important that you keep this al dente or it's going to get really mushy, and that's no fun. So you can see here I can't quite pull it up nicely, but it's still hard enough for me to be able to get a good crisp on there. And so I'm going to go ahead and add just a little teeny bit of an olive oil spray to it. So for the first 15 minutes, you had a cup of water. You put it in the oven at 375. You can put it to 400 as well. And then you're going to put it back into the oven. Okay. Let's make this salad dressing. I think you're really, really going to love it. Now again, you can do this with a vegetarian type of salad without adding the anchovies, or I love anchovies, and they're a really good omega-3 essential fatty acid. Small little fish, so there's not much mercury at all in it. I've been eating a lot of sardines lately, and they're great. I forgot how much I enjoyed them, but that's what I call my fast food. When I don't have anything left over from dinner because I've gone out to dinner, there's always a quick, easy meal for me. Is to bring a salad with some sardines, some lemon juice, some avocado, and it's really satiating and great protein. So again, don't forget your nice sardines are awesome. Okay, we're going to come over here. My Vitamix is my best friend. I love it. Could not live without it. I keep trying to talk my daughter into letting me get her a Vitamix for Christmas, and now she says, I don't want a Vitamix for Christmas, because really what she wants is a designer purse is what she wants. So, you know, I'm looking for, I have some actually pretty cool refurbished Vitamixes that are, you know, they're still expensive because these Vitamix are actually, you know, at least a good 10 to 15 years in terms of their guaranteed, 10 years for sure. So they really keep their value amazingly enough. So it's not that easy, but what's really great now is that you can get refurbished ones, which are really nice. Where is my little? It's probably right in front of me and I don't see it. Yep. Okay, so let's start off with about a half of a lemon. And again, I correct it depending on how, I like things tart. And so depending on how tart it is, I will potentially add some more lemon to this. I'm going to go ahead and add some, I'm going to bring this whole little plate over here. Now this is kind of a cool trick. How do you know if you have a fresh egg? And so one of the things that that's really a really easy trick is that what you just do is you take a glass of water. Okay, I'm going to put an egg in here, and again, for those people who are vegetarian, you don't need an egg in this to make it rich, thick, and creamy. But you just put the egg in there, and if it goes flat and it doesn't come up on its tip there, that's a fresh egg. So this would be good to utilize raw. If it comes up slightly a little bit, those are still really good to cook with. But if it floats up at the top, probably a good idea to throw it away. Okay. Let's go ahead and add this raw egg. And I love using raw eggs because they really create a nice thickness to the dressing. Okay, and I'm going to put a good heaping amount of Dijon mustard. There it is. So again, I put a good amount, probably a little bit of a heaping tablespoon. you don't put enough Dijon mustard, it's not thick enough. If you put too much, it's really mustardy, and then you have to keep playing around with it to get it all right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this a whirl. Now I put it on medium. Just always be careful about these Vitamix. They're so powerful that oftentimes if the lid is off, whoop, it goes everywhere. So, but I do want to pour the oil down here, so I'm going to keep it right like that. It might help if I actually plug it in. So let's put that over here. Here we go. Now what I want to say is, what I want you to do is pay attention to the sound of the Vitamix, because as it starts to get to the consistency that I'm looking for, it'll start humming. So you'll hear the difference that it is now, but as it's going, I won't be able to talk to you, but I will point, it's doing that, and it'll get this kind of thick kind of hum going. So you'll know that you're getting right where you want to be. Okay, so I got it on about level 7. Start out with putting about a half a cup of olive oil in here. Before we go on, so you can see it's nice and thick and beautiful. Can you see that? So it's just fantastic. It's not too thick that it's overbearing, but it's just the right consistency. All right. Add the anchovies. The Worcestershire sauce. Garlic. Pepper. Go ahead and taste this now, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of oil, but you see how it coated the back of the spoon there pretty good? So I'm going to, it's pretty darn perfect, but I'm going to add just probably about a quarter of a cup of oil, a little teeny bit more. Now you can add regular Parmesan cheese to this if you like, but you know, I'm not really a fan of cheese. I love it. Who doesn't love it? But it doesn't love me. So I use the vegetarian type of Parmesan cheese, and you can't tell really, honestly. Okay, let's have a look at this now. So it's nice because it's just the right consistency in terms of it coats the back of the spoon, but it's not so thick that it's going to be not that much fun to play with. And you kind of always kind of breathe it in, because when it hits the back of your throat, is it, you know, need enough, does it have enough lemon in it? Does it too mustardy? Does it, so you can correct it. It tastes pretty darn great. So let me see if there's anything else that I might want to add to that. I think we're looking pretty good. I'm going to keep it just like that. Okay, excellent. Now let's have a look over here at my pasta, at my zucchini's looking pretty good. Let's have a look at this wonderful, beautiful sauce here. Thickened up really nice. Look at that. Oh, it's gonna smell so good. Isn't that beautiful? Down. I got it turned down to the lowest. What's cool about these pans, these are the Salad Master pans. They're medical type steel, so it doesn't leach out any of the heavy metals, which is awesome, especially when you're working with acid type foods. I'm going to take this beautiful, nice basil here, and as I said before, we want to keep your basil as fresh as possible. So really, I'm only going to put the basil in at the very, very end. And I love basil. It's got a lot of wonderful properties. I said it's great for anybody who has issues with blood clotting. I would make my juice out of this, put some in for that as well. So it's got the vitamin K, it's got vitamin A in it, it's got chlorophyll in it, it's an antiseptic. It's fantastic. And then of course, you know, if there's any kind of dish that you would like me to make, you know, don't hesitate to leave me a little note on Facebook and do your requests, because I'd love to hear from you. And again, I've been getting a lot of good feedback from my patients, and so it's great. Thank you guys so much, and for sharing them with your friends. And you know, it's just such an opportunity for me to be able to share what I have so much passion over with you, and it's really a gift to be able to have all you guys tune in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add this basil to this now, because I think we're pretty good. I'm going to just taste it here. It's nice and thick and delicious looking. See if I need any more salt to it. Again, let it kind of hit the back of your throat. Is it too acidic? What do we got going here? I'm going to add a touch more salt. Again, with the heavy acidity, you know, oftentimes you're going to have to see if you need just a teeny bit of sweetness to it. Sometimes I would add a drop or two of stevia. A lot of people, as I said before, will add a little bit of agave or a little bit of honey, but you don't really need to. Okay, let me see where my salt is. That's the one thing in this house where we say, where's the salt? Where's the salt? It hides from us. Oh. This is really good Celtic salt. I keep it handy just because I'm always using it. I like to have really good salt. I don't use sea salt. This is a really good organic type of, good high sodium. Okay, let's see how we go there.
Why don't you use sea salt?
Huh?
Why don't you use sea
salt?
salt?
I don't like to use sea salt because it's too refined, which means that it's now broken down. It doesn't have the minerals that we're looking for. You need a good balance between the sodium and the potassium in the body. So the actual salt, like Celtic salt, Himalayan rock salt, Tibetan salt, they actually still have their minerals on them, which is really important for any kind of for hydration, for the sodium, potassium pump, for muscle spasms. So a lot of times I'll tell my patients just to take about half a teaspoon of Tibetan salt or Himalayan rock salt in the morning, first thing in the morning, if they have really low adrenal function, which means you feel really fatigued in the morning. That perks them right out. So sometimes twice a day you can do it in the morning, and then sometime around 3 o'clock when your adrenals start to go down around 3 o'clock. So again, that's a good time to have a cup of green tea, a little bit of Celtic salt and some lemon water. That'll perk you right out. And you won't have to have your coffee, and you won't have to have your chocolate. And if you need a nap, well, that's a different story, right? Okay. So I'm teetering on whether I want to add a little teeny bit of carrot juice. So I'm going to give it another little try here. Pretty darn good. Just a little zap. That was a little bit of chipotle, so I've got the chipotle going on. I didn't really add any more dill or any of the other spices because I'm going to add this nice basil. And basil is sweet on its own, so let me go ahead and add that in now. As I said, I don't really want to cook it too much. I want it to be its brilliant, beautiful green. So in fact, I'm just going to turn it off now and just let that simmer for us. Just let it sit for a second, and then I'll taste it again to see if I want to correct the seasoning on that with a little teeny bit of carrot juice. Okay, we did a good job here. So let's check out that spaghetti squash and let's see if it's that perfect al dente that we're looking for. Okay. Looks pretty good. Let's check it out. Again, this is something that you do want to keep. See how beautiful that is now, how it's coming off? Just like a wonderful spaghetti would look. So that's just the consistency you want right there. You don't want it too mushy. You want it nice and firm. That's just perfect. Okay, excellent. And so what I usually do is after I get this all out, pulled away from the shell, I usually put a little teeny bit of olive oil on it, just a drizzle of salt on there as well before I put the pasta on there. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love this stuff. Again, it's just what's really nice. My husband was talking about it the other day. He says it's just so filling. We just had the spaghetti squash. We had some shrimp with it, which was absolutely fantastic. And we didn't have a salad. We didn't have anything with it, but we were really, really content. And I said, yeah, it's so filling. And in the wintertime, salads really aren't that exciting because it's cold. It's a cold food. So you really want something warm. So this really fits the bill beautifully in regards to giving you that sense of a good carbohydrate that's not high on the sugar, but that's nice and warm. Okay. Yeah, so warm, the steam's getting to me there. Okay. Fantastic. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So again, you could do, sometimes people will just like to have this with a little bit of butter on it and salt. You can do that as well. Make it simple. Again, this is something that is an accompaniment to any food because it's a vegetable, so it's not a carbohydrate. So this is a perfect food combining with animal protein. It's great. Just going to put a little teeny dash because I like this to be really nice and flavorful. Even though that tomato sauce is awesome, if I don't use all this, I can keep some for tomorrow. I can add stuff. So I'm going to add the tomato sauce on there on the plate, so I'm not going to mix it in there. Okay, it's fantastic. I think we'll go with that. Add a little bit of salt. Wonderful. Okay, here we go. Look at that. It even looks like pasta. Can't go wrong here. Okay, gotta make it pretty. Let's add a little Parmesan cheese to give it the final touch on it. Is that gorgeous? Look at that. That is beautiful. I'm going to set that right here so you can see what a wonderful Caesar salad dressing can look like as well. Now, I just like to have, I like things to just be the way they are. So oftentimes I'll make a salad and just put it on just like that. Okay, let's add a nice little basil on top of that. Now I love hearts of palms. So again, since we're not having croutons on here, a lot of times I'll put fennel on here, which is great as well. Put little hearts of palms there. And, okay, here we go. And look at how nicely this drips out beautifully. So I don't want it too thick because I'm just going to go straight from here right onto my salad. I could have given it one more little swirl. Whoops. Don't want to OD there. It's easy to do. All right. Let's have a little bit of pepper on there. Landy, she's going to get to taste this. She's my taster. Okay, let's have a look. Beautiful. So there you have it. You've got a wonderful Caesar salad dressing and a beautiful spaghetti pasta. It's absolutely easy to do. Again, ladies, don't be afraid to get that knife out and cut that spaghetti squash. You saw how easy it is to do. And have a great week. Get all your shopping done. Remember, the most important thing about this holiday season is to remember all those family members that you haven't reached out to in a long time and your friends, and bring them in for a wonderful meal that you learned right off of this Sensational Living show, and share with your friends. Have a great week.